Welcome back to Wine, Whiskey, and Words, the podcast where we drink boldly, talk loudly, and overthink just about everything. I'm Brad, your host, wine enthusiast, professional overthinker, and a man who's absolutely convinced he's one key change away from a record deal. I call it undiscovered talent. Daniel calls it the reason we don't record near open windows. And speaking of Daniel, my co host, cruise ship ambassador, and self proclaimed pool shark. He's the kind of guy who chalks his cue like he's on ESPN, then immediately scratches on the brake. He's the whiskey to my wine, the glitch in my matrix, and the only man who's ever lost a game of pool to someone holding their drink and their phone. Together, we've tackled life's most pressing questions, from celebrities who made spectacularly bad decisions, to whether cruising is a lifestyle or a cry for help, to how time travel would instantly turn us into history's biggest mistakes. We've even covered the fine art of dealing with rejection, because frankly, that one keeps coming up for us. But today we're switching gears and rewinding the clock to simpler times, back when game night meant scraped knees, questionable rules, and bragging rights that lasted all summer. That's right, we're talking about the games we loved as kids, from the classics that defined our childhood to the ones that somehow ended in tears, band-aids, or a lifelong grudge against your cousin. So grab a drink, lower your expectations, and join us for another episode of Wine, Whiskey, and Words, where the pours are heavy, the logic is light, and the self-awareness is a work in progress.
All right. Thank you, Brad.
You're welcome.
Thank you for telling me what we're doing here.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's been a while.
Been a
managed
minute.
to forget. Well, actually, I think you have to continue because isn't the first thing drinking.
It's been a while, so
Yeah. It's your turn. You're up.
That's fine. So, this is another wine I got from Naked Wines. It's from Grasset. So it's a 2020 Bordeaux. I don't have a whole lot of information on the wine. It's a Bordeaux blend, so I'm going to assume there's a bit of Cabernet involved. Malbec, Merlot, Cab Franc maybe in there. Maybe some Petit Syrah. But I have a little bit about the winemaker. So Patrice Grasset, he's a third-generation French winemaker. He learned while working at the Villebois winery, home of his best-selling wines. He worked alongside his grandfather ever since he was little, basically he wants to make some wines that everyone can enjoy.
All right. Well, let's see what we got here. So very dark, which is kind of common in Bordeaux.
As one of these like videos that I saw. This is a red wine. You can tell because of the color.
So it kind of has like a tartness on the nose. Like when you smell it, it's got.
I get a bit of that that barnyard.
Maybe. I get almost like a cranberry. Maybe it's the tartness that I'm smelling that's giving me that sense. So it comes across very light. Like I was really expecting this to be really bold and intense, but
no, it's definitely on the lighter side. Tannins medium.
Yeah,
it's not
medium.
Super heavy on the, and it's got almost like a silky smoothness going on as well.
Yeah, it goes down smooth, lingers a little.
This was what would you guess was the price for this bottle?
Probably like 40, 50.
15.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. That's how much I paid for this one.
So one thing I've found is I actually do really enjoy both the white and the red Bordeaux blends in general. There's a lot of range there, price wise and flavor wise. So you kind of you get what you get, but in general they're pretty solid. So
there we go.
All right. Well, I think the next thing is something interesting. Unless you want to do what you're reading now. What are you reading now, Brad? Let's do what are we reading?
Oh crap.
Did you forget what you're reading?
Um, what am I reading? I'm reading a few different things right now,
Okay.
but I've been sick for a week,
Oh, okay.
so I haven't focused too much on the reading.
So I've been like on my normal so I tend to read something serious, but at night I'll read just trashy science fiction. And one of my favorite authors, J.N. Chaney, who writes a lot of science fiction, and most of it's on Kindle Unlimited, which is most of what I read, but just because it saves a lot of money. He's written a series. I'm on the first one called 1-800 Starship. It's about a guy who working in a pizza joint and finds a comic book with a phone number he's supposed to call and gets recruited to fly a starship in a galactic war. So I'm really nerding out in my
And what's this called?
1-800 Starship.
Huh.
The author is J.N. Chaney. Like I said, if you like trashy, cheap, easy reading science fiction, it's fun read. He does a good job. So,
I did get a recommendation from a coworker.
Yeah, what you got?
Um, hold on, I'll tell you. It is. Whoops. Let me see. Um, Game Changers Collection by
Okay.
Rachel Reed.
Interesting.
Apparently it's gay porn,
Good times. Good times.
but apparently the story is good. So
Well, I can't remember. My serious read right now is and I may have mentioned this on the last one because I've been reading it for a while. It's kind of hard to read sometimes. It's called The Nazi and the Psychiatrist. It's basically
okay.
about the psychiatrist who worked in the prisons after World War II at Nuremberg. And it talks about his experiences working with Hermann Goering and the other Nazis that
Oh
were on
wow.
trial there. And he goes into a lot of the guy's notes on the patients themselves and their delusions about the uh, the greatness of the Nazi Empire and how they would ultimately be judged to be heroes and things like that, and it didn't work out, luckily.
Right.
But yeah, like it's an interesting but very heavy read, so I read it in small doses. So, but I like I said, the Nazi and the Psychiatrist. It's
All right.
not my usual read, but
Yeah.
educational. So, all right, something interesting. Anything interesting happening in your life lately?
A little bit.
A little bit. I mean, it's been like what 2 months, so yeah.
Something like that. So I started dating someone that I've known for 15 years or so. Um, I didn't break up a marriage that was already done, and so so that's new.
Okay.
We're going on a cruise together at the end of the month. Um, Something interesting. I've learned that the word "okay" means a lot of different things.
Yeah. Hey, another pro tip: fine also means a lot of
Yeah,
different things.
yeah, yeah. I mentioned it to her. Okay, I'm like okay means I understand. Okay means drop it.
Yep.
Okay means you're annoying me.
Yeah.
Yeah, means a lot of things.
Sometimes okay means this is great, and that's really confusing.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, but we're going on a cruise at the end of this month, and then we're going on another cruise in March.
Good times.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah.
Well, I have had some adventures since our last get together.
Tell me about them.
You mentioning the pool thing made me laugh because one of the last matches I played in the last session at pool, I was breaking on the nine. We play 9 ball, so the 9 ball is in the center of all the other balls. Like you can't. It's really hard to hit it first. But somehow I managed to hit the bottom of the cue ball, jump the cue ball up in the air, and it landed squarely on the center of the 9 ball. Did not bounce off the table, but still a foul. And like the guy who was scoring on the other side just looked at it and goes, that's a new one. So yeah, that was it made me laugh when you talked about still managing to scratch on the nine on the break because I did.
You got talent.
But the highlight of the session was our team won the fall 2025 session in Purdue.
Really?
Yeah. So
Impressive.
we've qualified for our area's tri-cup tournament at the beginning of January.
Was that because of you or in spite of you?
More in spite than because.
Okay.
I mean, I had some good nights, but I had some really obscenely bad nights. So, but we managed to hold on. We got ahead enough that even our last couple losses, we managed it. But in local Tampa news, though, I did find some neat places last weekend. My parents were in town, and we went down to the downtown area. So if you're in Tampa, there's an area called Sparkman Wharf, which is kind of right on the river. It's mostly just restaurants and things, but they've redone it in the last 20 years, and it's really nice. And we went to a restaurant called Battery, which kind of seafood centric, but they have a really fantastic atmosphere. Really, really good whiskey selection. So really enjoyed that. And then one more thing, near that area, over by the newer or by Benchmark Arena, which used to be Amelie Arena, there's a neat area called Water Street. It's like a block, but there's lots of little restaurants, and definitely going to go back and check some of them out. A little high end, but seems like a nice place.
Awesome.
So, all right. Well, I guess
I've got the "Am I the Asshole?"
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, let's do that.
So this is what's interesting on Reddit, and typically it's usually a "Am I the Asshole?" post. So because those are interesting. This goes: Am I the asshole for breaking up with my boyfriend because I got tired of paying for him? I'm already gonna go say yeah.
I'm gonna.
So
Wait, you say yeah?
Yeah.
You mean you say no?
No, I mean no. Sorry. Listen, I've had some wine.
All right.
So I, 25 female, just recently broke up with my boyfriend CJ, 32 male, of 4 years, and I'm trying to figure out if I'm actually the asshole. When we first met, he had steady income and did small but nice things for me, like taking me on dates. He stopped working and became a freelancer entrepreneur about 3 years ago and has basically had no money since. I pay for everything: dates, foods, activities, and anything else I want to do with him. He makes promises he doesn't uphold because he doesn't have money. His car broke down and he hasn't been able to afford to get another one, so if I want to see him or we have plans, I pay for his Ubers or drive 30 plus minutes to pick him up. Year one of this, didn't mind doing it because I figured it would be short term until I kept going and kept going. Year two, I was getting a little frustrated, but I love him, and I again assumed it would get better this year. Would get better. This year I got a new car, a better job, and I'm just trying to move forward, but I find he's in the same place still, and the situation hasn't improved. My discomfort with the situation was starting to affect other parts of the relationship, like our already vanilla sex life, and I get frustrated with him quickly. Vanilla might be nice with sex.
Yeah.
Okay,
little
I digress.
Cream,
I
cherries.
digress.
Yeah.
All right. Not with you though. I just don't respect him anymore. I love him. He's a great guy outside of all this. He's patient, empathetic. He's sweet. He helps me out with everything I need. He is really a dream guy outside of the financial stress. He wakes up at 2 and 3 a.m. to help with my nephew's bottle feedings. My family loves him. He gets along with my dad and brothers. I told a good friend the reason and the backstory of why we had broken up, and she told me I was selfish and spoiled and that the relationships are 50-50 sometimes, and sometimes one person has to give more. She says my lifestyle has ruined my personality, and she used to think of me as a kind and loving person. And apparently a few others friends agreed with her. For extra context, my parents take good care of me. My mom pays my rent and frequently buys me gifts or nice things. My dad is the same way. But I do have a full-time job and pay my own bills such as car payments, insurance, etc. I make decent money, but I am by no means rich. He just doesn't fit into what I see my life being like right now. I'd imagine us growing together and having children and getting married. He would be a great dad and is a great partner. I just can't continue to support a grown man and lay with someone that's supposed to be a provider and leader while I'm doing the providing and leading. I would love to be with him in the future, or even if he were to get a job tomorrow, I would take him back. That's difficult, but I'm going to say right away, she's not the asshole. I mean, he seems to be just leeching on her.
Well, I don't. Given the whole context, it's a little more complex than I initially thought. However, I'm I'm always of the mindset in a relationship that it has to be agreed upon. There are things that have to be agreed upon. You can't just one day change the agreement and expect the other person to acquiesce. I remember someone I know who she was married. She and her wife had been married for 10 years, I think, and one day she decided, oh, you know what, we should be polyamorous.
Oh
And
boy.
you don't get to decide that. Like you don't get
Right.
to just say, well, I'm not going to do this. And when it comes to helping pay for things, and now it is a little complex because the parents are paying rent and things like
But
that.
he wasn't like that in the beginning, though.
Right. Yeah. So like they never. It sounds like they never had the conversation that this would be a long-term thing.
Right.
And if you're trying to get your business off the ground, I get it. That sometimes takes time. But a year in, if you're not making some sort of income, it's time to get something. Get a job. Get
But it's
a
been
job.
like 3 years.
Right. Yeah. So no, I'm sorry. Like if the agreement was I'm going to do this and you're not doing it, well, you need to do something else.
Right.
I mean, if I were ever to lose my job, I may not make as much money as I am now, but within a week, I'd have another job. I would
Right.
find something to do, even if it was just walking door to door in my neighborhood asking to mow lawns.
You could work with me at Cooperstock.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
already there enough.
Yeah.
So,
That's just true.
they know I can make it to the place on time.
Right. Yeah.
So,
And
no,
they know you know the wines.
yeah, I know the wines quite well actually. I've actually sold my own share of memberships.
There you go.
So, but no, like I said, yeah, I don't think that's an asshole move. I think sometimes the agreement just doesn't work out, and if it's not working out, then it's time to go. So,
Done.
I do kind of have questions about the if he got a job today, I'd take him back. Like, I feel like you should have had that conversation before.
Right. Yeah.
And if he hasn't gotten a job already, no, don't take him back.
I wouldn't take him back immediately.
Yeah, like show me you're gonna keep it.
Right.
So, yeah, all right, well, good one. So, Brad, you said something about the topic, and it's not exactly the topic. I think my original topic was like games we forgot about, and you kind of narrowed it, or I guess expanded it to like games from childhood. I was looking more at the bigger picture of like games in general that, and including ones from childhood, but that just fell out of popularity.
Well, I guess that's where I misunderstood then,
And
because I thought it was games from our childhood.
well, and it was meant to be a little vague and broad. So
Okay.
I'm glad. I think this will be a good conversation. So what started this for me was I realized that it's actually kind of hard to find a decent place to shoot pool. Like, and pool is one of those sports that has clearly gone up and down in popularity over
Right.
its lifespan. It seems like it was more popular at times in the past, and now it's kind of on a downswing. It feels like anyway. And so I was like, what happened? Why has this happened? And I do feel like my initial thought was that games have just kind of games in general have taken a hit, unless it's video games or phone games. But because of phones and that constant ability to have a game in your hand, and then there's like hustle culture, which makes people think they have to work all the time. Like I feel like games have kind of fallen out of popularity overall, with some exceptions. So I just figured we'd come up with this topic and
Okay.
see where it went. I actually learned a lot about pool in particular, but other games as well in researching this. So I learned that billiards actually began as a lawn game, kind of like croquet.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like basically it was balls and like little holes on the grass, and you push
Think-
the balls around.
Everything starts with balls and holes.
Yep, balls and holes. That's where it all came from. But yeah, like you actually like pushed the balls with a stick, and it actually was like a game of royalty. I learned that Mary Queen of Scots played this on the night before her execution.
Really?
Yeah, Louis the 14th actually like made pool like famous like in Europe. He loved it so much. So weird stuff like that. Um, there are variations on billiards. Like Americans call it pool, but billiards was a different game. Snooker is similar in play, but it was actually invented as a joke by some British soldiers in India. They thought pool was, or they were joking around about how pool was too, or billiards was too easy, so they came up with this really complicated game and they called it snooker.
What's the difference?
Snooker is played with like a lot of different balls, and you have like I don't know all the rules of snooker. The sticks are
Okay.
different, the cues are different. But yeah, like it's just a very different game. Bigger table, narrower pockets. It is
Okay.
supposedly more difficult to play.
Okay.
So, but pool actually is obviously named after betting pools because it was a kind of a betting game, and early pool halls kind of were viewed as like, evil or maybe I think dens of vice was the term used
Okay.
because of the betting that went on. But American pool came out of this, and the games of 8 ball and 9 ball were more friendly for gambling. They went faster, so that's why they are the way they are. But I thought it was kind of cool, like reading about how in the 20 like between 1900 and 1920, pool was crazy popular in America. Um, Pool halls, there were 100,000 more pool halls in America. They were massive places, and it was because it was cheap, indoors, and social. So even if it was cold and snowy, you could go shoot pool with all your friends. Um, it kind of fell out of popularity as people started viewing it as kind of a vice. And then in 1961, Paul Newman played in The Hustler,
Oh yeah, great
which
movie.
which brought it to new fame, but it kind of lost respectability because he's a hustler. And then in the 70s and 80s, it kind of went up and down, and was revitalized by the sequel to The Hustler, Color of Money,
Right.
also starring Paul Newman and Tom Cruise. But I never really came to an answer about why it's fallen out of popularity. Other than one article I read said that video games and real estate cost is really what killed it. Buying a big bar to hold a bunch of pool tables and maintaining those pool tables is very expensive. So places just couldn't hang on, and that's not surprising. The arcade is a lot more exciting to a larger group of people than pool. So yeah, that was kind of a neat deep dive into pool. Learned a lot, but still didn't have a good answer for why it fell out of popularity. But eh, since we're talking about games we loved as kids, I guess we
There you
don't
go.
we don't need to answer that question. All right, what you got, Brad?
Uh, this is a game that I loved playing when I was younger, high school, and then on to college. Axis and Allies.
Axis and
So
allies.
basically, you're familiar with the game Risk, right?
Yes.
Okay. Think of it, if Risk is war, then Axis and Allies is gin rummy.
So
So
timeout.
it's a lot more complicated.
There's two games that I always mix up. There's the one with like a bunch of squares and the pieces that move forward and backward, and they're soldiers.
That's called chess,
No,
Daniel.
there's
No.
another one where it was like Milton Bradley
Oh yeah,
game.
no. Oh, you talking
And
about
then
Stratego?
yes, okay, so
Yeah.
that's that one, and then Risk is the one with like the world map.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
just
So
making sure.
Axis and Allies is a lot more complicated.
Okay,
But whereas Risk, you can play a game and it might last a few hours, maybe. You could play a game of Axis and Allies, and it's a lot more. You're talking about a lot more strategic. Um,
oh yeah, you got a
building
picture up here. This
alliances. Yeah,
is
over here, there's it's resource management, etc. That game could last you 6, 7, 8 hours,
yeah,
easy.
yeah, that would be a hard one.
But it was so much fun.
It's kind of like some of those marathon Monopoly games that just kind of
Yeah,
get cutthroat.
yeah. But it's like whereas with Monopoly is a lot more of that luck involved.
Yeah.
This is very much strategy.
Okay.
So this one came out 1981, and it is based obviously World War II. But if you enjoy playing Risk, but want a little bit more, because Risk is a bit basic, there's some strategy involved, but this is a lot more strategy.
I feel like over 8 hours of playing games with friends.
Well, it can last that
I
long.
I'd,
I'm not saying it will, but it can.
I'd need to go raid your wine fridge.
It's always open to you.
Don't tell me that, man.
It's at current count, I've got I actually can tell you right now
Too many.
because I use Cellar Tracker to keep the list of wines, and I currently have 406 bottles, not including the case that just came in today from Wine Spies.
Wow. Well, I can probably help you with some of that if you ever need help.
All right.
All right. That's a good one, man. I've never heard of that game. That's a new one.
Yep.
Well, going back to, and this actually does kind of fit with the theme of games we played as children. Like growing up, my grandfather really loved chess. He when he passed, he probably had 50 chess sets in his house.
Oh my God!
On display.
Does he understand you only need one?
They're like
maybe
decorative.
two.
They're
two, one for here and one to travel.
Yeah, they're decorative. They're
Okay.
they're on display. Some of them are replicas of like ancient chess sets. Some of them he found in his travels. He had a Mickey Mouse chess set. He had the Star Trek 4D chess set. And,
Oh, well, that's kind of
like
cool.
a lot of kind of cool ones.
What about like that the Star Trek?
He did not have that.
That multi-level
Well,
one?
no, that's the 4D chess one. Yeah.
Oh, that is, you
The
said Star. Yeah,
yeah.
you did.
So
You said Star Trek, and I thought Star Wars.
Yeah.
My bad.
So but going into it, like I knew some of this, but I didn't know all of it. I remember we would spend hours. Like I would stay at his house and we'd just spend hours playing chess. And it was some of the things that I remember the most. And he actually has this old um, chess table, and it actually something very similar, if not the exact same chess table, was shown in briefly in the show the Queen's Gambit, or
Yeah.
a couple years ago.
Yeah.
When she goes to Russia, they play on this table. It's just two chairs and a table, and I actually have that chair and table set in my garage right now because I don't have a place to put it. But no, it's actually one of the few things that I'm like I will keep that forever.
So there's an app called Really Bad Chess.
Okay.
And so basically, there's a different challenge every day, and the board is totally messed. Like, look at this. You can see this right here.
Oh wow. So they just move the pieces around in weird ways.
Moved, added.
Oh, extra knights, things like that.
All kinds of different stuff.
That's interesting.
So, I mean, in this board that I'm seeing right here, Black has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 knights, 2 queens, 2 rooks,
Wow.
3 bishops. White has 1, 2, 3, 4 queens, 3 rooks, 3 bishops, 2 knights, and 3 pawns.
So actually, speaking of the queens, did you know that apparently the queen was not always a powerful piece?
I did not know that.
Like in around 1500, our like modern version of chess emerged in Europe, and historians call it the Mad Queen era or something like that because the queen had not been that powerful before
I'd be
that.
mad if I wasn't that powerful.
Yeah. So it created faster, deadlier games apparently.
Oh.
So I don't know what that meant. But,
that sounds hot.
But apparently this was the most interesting thing I learned. I remember as a kid, and I couldn't tell you what happened in this movie because I remember watching it and probably falling asleep. Watching The Search for Bobby Fischer.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize all the drama that went on with Bobby Fischer until I was researching this episode. So Bobby Fischer was like a grandmaster at 15 or something like that. And prior to this, like Russia had just been like institutionally training people to play chess.
And Garry Kasparov.
They absolutely dominated. At the time, it was Boris Spassky.
Okay.
Absolutely dominated for years chess on the global level. And Bobby Fischer comes out, and he was a really kind of an odd guy. He didn't trust authority. He didn't trust institutions, things like that. Apparently, Henry Kissinger actually had to convince him, like the Secretary of State had to call him and request that he go and play in the World Championship because he didn't want to go.
Really?
He made a bunch of weird demands both before and like during the the tournament, he would play against Boris Spassky, and like the next game he'd be like, no cameras. When I'm not doing cameras. It has to be a private room. Like Bobby Fischer, he was a really odd guy. He trained by himself, where like Boris Spassky went to a school that the Soviet Union had put on. But yeah, like, and then like he wins in a comeback win, like really just historic fashion that was the Cold War on a chess table. And in a few years later, refused to go back and play. He's like, I'm not doing it. He never defended his title and just disappears. Just kind of a weird guy. I didn't realize that, but neat little trivia thing. But one of the things I did want to mention, the only computer game that I've loved for chess was in the 80s, back when you had like DOS computers. There was a game called Battle Chess. And you would like move the pieces, and if your queen killed a pawn, she like pulled out her staff and beat the pawn over the head, and it killed it.
So there was a game called Archon.
Okay.
Back then, and basically the different pieces had different like magical abilities and whatnot. And so what happens is if you went to attack that piece or it came to attack you, then a different screen came up where you would battle.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. But anyway, like I said, I thought it was neat to learn so much about Bobby Fischer, and like, but after Bobby Fischer and the Cold War, chess kind of went back to its relative obscurity. I mean, it's still always been popular, but it still went back to it's like, all right, it's chess. The computers helped, and then obviously the Queen's Gambit caused this massive resurgence briefly among chess people, because people wanted to learn and understand. Chess sets were selling out all of a sudden in 2020.
Yeah, I actually follow someone on YouTube, I think. So I think this might be, yeah, Anna Kramling.
Yeah.
She's a Swedish-Spanish professional chess player, and her
Okay.
mother is actually a grandmaster.
Oh wow.
She's young. She's probably at this point now. She's 23, but she's been doing this for several years, where she'll go and play someone in a park or whatever, unassuming, um, and it's just really interesting to watch, and they're always so surprised at how well she does.
Yeah.
But it's fun to watch.
It's an interesting game that forces you to understand both strategy and tactics in a way that is simple but complex at the same time. So if you ever want to really learn an interesting game, learn some chess. It's worth knowing how to play at least.
I know how to play.
So, all right, what else you got, Brad?
Oh, what was I going to talk about next? I. Okay, so this is a game, not really a board game per se, but it's a game I played when I was much younger, and I was involved in like D&D and whatnot.
Okay.
But this is kind of an offshoot. So this is a product of Steve Jackson Games. And it's called Car Wars.
Okay.
So the concept is basically you've got a certain budget or whatever, and you put together a car with different kind of armor, weapons, and then you're in this arena, and you're moving your little token or whatever and trying to attack other cars.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I mean, you could get flamethrowers, you can get rocket launchers,
Nice.
machine guns, anything like that. And so, I mean, I think gravitated towards those strategy
Okay.
type games.
Yeah. Speaking of strategy. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you finished with that one?
I'm finished.
So this is not on my list. I've done no research, but I remember when I was in probably middle school, Magic the Gathering had gotten really big, and I remember having a lot of fun playing that game. You'd spend like $20. I'm sure it's more now, and get like the starter deck.
Right.
Had like 80 cards or something, and it was just a really cool strategic game where you had to think through your moves, you had to plan ahead, you had to consider how your opponent was playing.
Well, it's like Pokemon.
Yeah, I never
too.
played that. Yeah, Pokemon was around the same time, I think,
Yeah.
that it kind of became popular. But like Magic's still around. Like now they're doing like partnerships with Lord of the Rings and all these other things. Who knows if it's even played the same, but kind of a neat.
I'm sure, but I'm sure there's other decks.
Yeah. So it's like anything; it evolves over time. So yeah. Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that one in.
Throw it out.
You got another one of there?
Yeah. So this is a game I still play today. And now that I've got an app, I can play with others online. But it's a game that my father taught me, and we used to play when I was younger. And I'm very happy to say I've played Kirsten um, twice, and I beat her both times. So it's backgammon.
I always remember the tables, like the little boards being around, and so clearly somebody in my family played because they were out.
Yeah.
But I other than like the brief moment that I downloaded the app and played for like an hour, um, I don't know. It's just not my thing.
So I mean, it's a little bit of strategy and it's a lot of luck.
Yeah.
Because you want to prevent them from moving to their side, um, by kind of building up so that if they make a roll that would normally be able to move them that they can't go, you want to be able to trap them and then block them. And so, as I said, with that kind of game, it's about 25% strategy, 75% luck of the dice.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
But I imagine there's like an element of understanding the probabilities
Well,
on
yeah.
like,
I mean,
well, will they get, they're not going to roll a 12 most likely. But yeah, I
yeah.
mean, there's some luck there. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, like one of the games that was on my list, and again, a game I played with family. I remember from probably a younger age than I should have. Scrabble.
Okay.
My mom had one of like the fancy deluxe boards
I
that
had
had
that
like
on
the
mine.
the raised edges so that the
Yeah.
tiles didn't move around, and it like spun. But I remember playing that with lots of different family members. Like it was pulled out frequently. Everybody'd sit there and play all night, drinking coffee and just having a great time. It was it was invented by a guy named Alfred Butts.
Really?
Yeah, he was a laid off architect back in the 30s. It was originally called Lexico, and then Chris Crosswords.
Okay.
He actually like the point values actually had meaning. It wasn't just arbitrary. It was based on he did an analysis of counting letters in the New York Times to assign point values. He
Okay.
like had a mathematical formula he used to assign those point values. But he tried for years to get major game companies to buy it, and they didn't want it. It just didn't work for him. And then he kind of sold the rights, but he would get royalties to a guy who was an entrepreneur, who pushed it for like 10 years and was losing money making the games in his house, but it kept growing like because the people who love it. And then a Macy's exec went on vacation, found it, and was like, "Why are we not selling this in our stores?" So they placed this massive order, and by the mid 1950s, it was finally hitting a big enough point because people were
Right.
mad because they couldn't get it in their Macy's. That one of the places that had rejected it originally took it on, and of course now we're all playing Words with Friends. Used to be, what was the original name of Words with Friends? It was something else before it was Words with Friends, and Scrabble people got mad. Scrabulous.
Really?
Wasn't it called Scrabulous?
I don't know.
I feel like it
Well,
had a different name.
I have this really cool thing here called a computer.
The internet.
Yeah. I can simply type.
I'm pretty sure it was called Scrabulous.
Uh.
Or maybe Words with Friends was something else, and Scrabulous just got shut down.
So.
We don't know.
No. It looks like it was originally
All right.
called Words with Friends.
All right. Maybe I just remember a different game, and maybe it was totally just a different game, and that I just named Words with Friends.
Scrabulous. There was Lexulus.
Maybe that's what it
formerly Scrabulous.
was. Okay.
So yeah.
So there was a
it's
game
similar.
called Scrabulous. It did have to change its name. So that I was sort of correct, but just not completely correct.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Yeah, so like interestingly, one of the things I learned in researching Scrabble is once they started having championships and tournaments and things, they realized that like it's more about probability, board control, and like tracking the number of points that are left on the board
Right.
than actual like vocabulary. Like actually, your knowledge of everyday vocabulary can hurt you because you get fixated on
Right.
words.
So when I would play um, Words with Friends, I would do whatever I can to block.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what it did. Like apparently, there's been a lot of like issues with like cheating and scandals about that and dictionaries and but whatever. So, all right, next up.
Um, Goodness. You know what? There's the game, one of the most well-known games of the '80s, Trivial Pursuit.
Oh yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good one.
that was one where it's basically if you love trivia, um, you had to be able to know all kinds of different things in order to win it.
Yeah, you couldn't be a specialist.
No, because there's sports, there's movies, there's history, there's everything involved in that.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's luck because you've got to roll the die and land on that certain thing in order to be able to do it.
yeah, yeah. No, but it's a fun game. Like it's and there's lots of variations. Like that. That's one where they have like 80s, 90s, 70s, 60s. Like they have like tons of different variations on Trivial Pursuit. So it's a good one. My next one is probably the most stupidly fun game that I remember from childhood. It is noisy and absolute chaos.
Oh, you're talking about what's it called when you're guessing?
Oh no 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 no!
No,
That is there. There's no guessing involved in this
no.
game.
What?
Hungry Hippos.
Oh God!
Like there is nothing better than pounding with three of your friends as fast as you can and yelling and screaming and little
I
marbles are
probably
flying
shouldn't do
everywhere.
this on camera.
Just absolute nonsense, and it is still popular to this day. But my favorite thing to see, if you've ever seen it, sometimes they'll do at like in an auditorium, they'll take like four-wheeled, I don't know, like dollies, I guess, that just like sit on the ground, and they'll have four people uh, laying on them, holding laundry baskets in their hands.
Yeah, I've
and
seen
somebody
stuff
holds
like
their
that
feet.
before.
It like it is Hungry Hippos. I remember playing that pretty much at every family gathering when I was a kid. We would all the kids would go in the room and while the parents were having fun, and we'd play Hungry Hippo and be screaming and pounding the board away. So yeah, good times.
You know what I remember playing? Um, this is probably 15, 20 years ago. Win, lose, or draw.
Yeah, that was like But did the game come before the? Wasn't there a game show
I think
for that,
I don't
or
know.
was the
Yeah,
game show
that
that?
I think the game show.
That was a good one.
Yeah, that and then there was the app, but there was I think with the app, I got bored with that really quickly because just too much error for cheating with that.
Yeah, I could see that. All right. All right. I guess this is my since you did win, lose, or draw. So I've only got two more. My next one is Jenga.
Yeah. Okay.
Apparently Jenga, like it had its origins in like African games, like stacking games is what they were called.
Okay.
There was a woman named Leslie Scott who had grown up in East Africa and kind of refined a game that she had seen played there into uh, the game we know as Jenga, and the name comes from the Swahili kujenga, to build, and she took it to the London Toy Fair in 1983, and everybody was just like, I don't understand, like what is this? Why? But throughout the 1980s, she pushed it. She really pushed it, and it became like this really popular game because it's so simple. Like you don't have there's no cultural concerns. There's no, I mean, it's just blocks on a table. So anybody can play it. The rules are pretty simple and straightforward. Um, but yeah, like now we have giant Jenga, and apparently there are drinking games around Jenga. But
Okay.
I tried to understand them, but it was they sound very complex, and my rule about drinking games is they have to be simple. So
So there was a game that I played, and it might be known under different names, but I knew it under one. And once again, with my dad, my mom, my brother, myself, whenever my cousins would come over, they want to play Mendinka.
that name sounds really
So it's
familiar.
basically like this. You've got a bunch of beans. And there's a little collection pod on either end, and then on each side, I've got like 5 or 6 little holes, and then you've got them as well. And you would start by picking up the beans, dropping them one by one. If it ended up that it would end up in my collection area, then I get that point.
So you just picked up a random number of beans.
Yeah, pick up the
Okay.
beans. But let's say, for instance, if I collect 4 from here and I go 1, 2, 3, and if the fourth one there's 3 beans from there, I'm going to collect that and then continue going around
Oh, okay.
until I run out. Whoever has the most beans at the end wins.
Okay. I vaguely remember this game. I don't think I ever actually understood how to play it, but I remember seeing the board. I could like draw the board if I tried.
We need to have a game night.
Yeah, that'd be a good time. Let's get together and do it. Let's schedule it.
Done.
So, my next game is one that I have only played once with actual tiles, but I've played the computer version a lot. It's actually was how probably how most people get introduced it to was Mahjong.
I've never played it.
I remember probably Windows 93 or something when Mahjong was included with it. And you have all the tiles and you just match the tiles and you take the ones off the top and on the edge you can't pull from the center and all that. And your goal is to just get down with pairs to the bottom, which, played that many an hour. I actually have the app on my phone
Okay.
if I ever get really bored. But I've since learned that that is not the only way to play Mahjong. There's actually like a game where you have 4 people and you're playing with other people. That's very different from that.
Okay.
It's more like dominoes. And I started researching it, and basically, like the exact origin of Mahjong is kind of unclear. They say it likely emerged during the 17 and 1800s in China, and it was a very like social game. It was not unlike many of the games I mentioned, not an
Yeah.
elites game. It was very much like the common people played it. It used the same tile set, but it had very flexible rules. Like you could go to 2 different places or 5 different places and play 5 different ways. It became a Roaring Twenties fad in the U.S. apparently as an upper class game.
Hmm.
It was very like luxury to have your own mahjong set, but still like the rules varied. It was not a rigid game. It was very much a social game, and it always remained popular in China until 1949, and the communists actually like banned it in some places. Like you could be
Why?
punished. Well, it was part of like it was viewed as like kind of bougie,
Oh, okay.
and um, the gambling was viewed as immoral. So it was actually until like 1976, it was kind of frowned upon in China. It was played kind of on the underground, and then finally the Chinese government kind of lightened that up. But in the between the 50s and the 80s, Jewish American communities actually, particularly among women, kept it alive and made it a very popular game. But even to this day, the game is not like there are competitions with rigid rule sets, but that's not the only way to play. There are different ways to play the game. Some are very team based, some are not, things like that. So I just thought it was kind of neat because it's the game that I learned about mahjong from is not the game that people play. Like Jamie got invited to a party one time, and the way they played it has nothing to do with stacking of tiles and
Really?
filling them off.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, all right. What else you got?
Just a few things. Battleship.
Battleship's a good one.
I had Scrabble, um, Monopoly.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's a I would love to play a game of Monopoly.
I've only played like a full game of Monopoly maybe twice.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez. Pictionary.
Yeah, Pictionary.
Candyland.
Yeah, Candyland. Shoots and
So,
Ladders.
Shoots and Ladders.
Life. Remember the game of Life?
Yes, I do. I think I only played that once or so.
Yeah. Another game that was lots of fun to set up and play until the very end was a Mousetrap.
Never played that.
Mousetrap was delightful. Like you at some point something happened and it caused this whole Rube Goldberg machine type thing to happen.
Oh, I
finally
think I remember that.
Yeah, setting it up was a nightmare.
I only played Clue maybe once.
Okay, Clue's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
Games.
Yeah, we do need to have a game night.
That I would like to have a game night.
So I want to come back to this wine.
Okay.
As I've continued to drink it and it's sat out a little bit, like I actually really I've started to notice that some red wines you get it's not the tannins because you don't get that feel of the tannins, but you get that grape peel flavor.
Yeah.
But in a pleasant way. And this wine gives you a lot of that, I think. And it's like I said, it's a nice taste. So
this would be good with some like brisket. So says the vegan.
Actually, this would have been a good Thanksgiving wine. It's light enough that I think it would have been good. Thank you, sir.
Welcome, sir. So on to the next topic.
You mentioned some ideas, but I can't remember what they were.
We settled on dealing with addiction.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about different types of addictions, what might cause it, how to deal with it, and such. We'll see. But we're looking at doing this in a week?
Yeah, like next week.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Time to get started.
Get back on the horse.
Yeah. Yeah.
So cool. Well, thank you guys for joining us. This was a fun episode.
Well, thank you.
Cheers.
So, anything else?
Please check us out on Apple, Spotify, YouTube.
Yep.
We're also on all the social media stuff.
Yep.
Almost all of it.
The email is winewhiskeyandword@gmail.com.
Yeah.
The website is winewhiskeyandwords.com. And, feel free to submit suggestions, leave us some comments, tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like, tell us what you don't like about Daniel.
Yep.
Or just go to Cooper's Hawk and tell him to his face.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
I will say this, if you find us on X, they are frauds. Don't believe it.
Oh, yeah. We are not on X because Daniel would not let me do that.
I'm not participating.
But I am on Instagram and Facebook.
Bookface.
So, I think that's it.
Yeah.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers.